Good afternoon to everybody. This is Pastor Leo and welcome po to another episode of Daily Discipleship. Tayo po ay nag-aaral sa kasalukuyan ng leaders in transition. Yan, leadership and leaders in transition. Yan po ang mga tema po natin this week. Pinag-uusapan po natin kung ano po ang pwede nating matutunan sa mga pagpapalit po sa pinatawag po na transition time, no, sa Word of God. At tayo po ay sumisilip sa generation po ni Moses, sa time po ni Joshua, at ngayon po kay Caleb po tayo. We are looking into this transition period that welcomed the Joshua generation. So ngayong araw po tayo po ay mag-uusap tungkol po kay Caleb. So tayo po ay manalangin. Let us pray. Panginoon, marami pong salamat sa oras na ito. Kayo po ang patuloy, Lord God, na humawak sa aming buhay at patuloy, Panginoon, sa araw na ito ay mangusap po kayo, Panginoon, sa pamamagitan, Lord God, ng aming discipleship. Lord, maraming salamat sa mga buhay na patuloy, Panginoon, na hinihipo mo, hinuhubog mo, Panginoon. Lord God, ginagabayan mo, Panginoon, at patuloy, Lord God, na binabago mo, Panginoon, para sa iyong kaluwalhatian. Dalangin ko po, Panginoon, lahat po ng aming mga, Lord God, lessons, Lord God, ay maging pagpapala, Lord God, at makadagdag po sa, Panginoon, sa tibay, Lord God, ng kanilang buhay pananampalataya. Ang dalangin ko, Lord God, sa araw na ito muli, samahan niyo kami, at kayo po, Panginoon, ang maluwalhati, Lord God, sa amin pong pag-aaral, Panginoon. Inanyayahan po namin si Banal na Espiritu na sumama sa amin. At ang dalangin ko, Panginoon, patuloy, Lord God, na bukas niyo po ang aming puso at isipan na tumanggap po, Lord God, ng pagtuturo ng iyong salita. Salamat po. Binabalik po namin sa iyo ang papuri sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen at amen. So magandang araw po sa ating lahat. No? Tayo po ay mag-aaral tungkol naman po dito sa 7 lessons from the life of Caleb, no? 7 lessons from the life of Caleb. Ngayong araw po pag-aaralan po natin is a very interesting person. Sa akin po, he's one of the most interesting people in the Old Testament. He's the last patriarch of the Moses generation. Siya po ang huling miyembro ng Moses generation. And he was the last warrior of the Moses generation. Siya po yung he outlasted everybody. No? He outlasted everybody. Sa dami po ng mga naging hawak na generation ng mga Israelita, in that generation, he was the last warrior sa panahon po ni Moses. Kaya, a very interesting person, si Caleb. We're going to look into 7 lessons from the life of Caleb. No? Tuloy po natin, Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 34 to 36. Ito po ang tanong natin, who was Caleb? Where did he come from? What did he do in his lifetime? Sino ba to? Is he really special? Where did he come from? No, saan ba siya galing? And what did he do in his lifetime? Pangalawa, what was so special about him that God chose him instead of Moses to enter to the promised land? Have you ever wondered why God chose Caleb instead of Moses to enter the promised land? What exceptional qualities did he possess? And number 3, what lessons can we learn from Caleb's story? Sa araw po na ito, I ask and I pray that all of us learn from this outstanding leader, this outstanding, gusto ko sabihin, statesman. He was the last of his generation. And I think he ended that generation well. he represented that generation well. Tuloy po natin, no? The Israelites were traveling in the wilderness. They stepped out of Egypt and was being led miraculously by a pillar of fire and cloud towards the promised land. As they approached Canaan, God commanded Moses to choose one representative from each of the 12 tribes of Israel to explore the land God was about to give to them. Caleb was chosen to represent the tribe of Judah. Basahin po muna natin yung Deuteronomy chapter 1. Dito po sa Deuteronomy chapter 1, sa verse 34. When the Lord heard that you said what you said, he was angry and solemnly swore, "No one from this evil generation shall see the good land I swore to give to your ancestors, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He will see it, and I will give him and his descendants the land he set his feet on, because he followed the Lord wholeheartedly." Alam niyo po ba, may katangian po si Caleb na nadaig po niya si Moses. Tuloy po natin. So, si Caleb po ay unang lumitaw doon po sa passage na kung saan makikita po natin na inutusan po ng Diyos sa Exodus na pumili si Moses ng mga leaders out of every tribe. Sa aklat po ng Exodus. I'm sorry, sa aklat po ng Numbers, ba't pa ako nagsabi ng Exodus? Sa aklat ng Numbers, sa aklat po ng Numbers. Numbers chapter 13. I'm looking at Exodus in another scene. Numbers chapter 13. Yan, dito tayo. Yan. Verse 1. Sorry po, nakatingin po ako sa aking Bible app. Anyways, Numbers 13, 1-6. The Lord said to Moses, "Send some of the men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders." So malinaw po, no? Inutos po ng Lord kay Moses na pumili ng isang representative na pupunta sa Canaan na magre-represent sa kanyang ancestral tribe. At ang tawag po sa taong yon, send one of its leaders. So dito pa lang po sa Numbers 13, leaders na po sila. Kinikilala na po sila ng kanilang tribe. These are the names of the 12 tribes and the 12 spies. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb, son of Jephunneh. Yan po si Caleb. From the tribe of Issachar, Igal, son of Joseph. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, son of Raphu. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, son of Sodi. From the tribe of Manasseh, a tribe of Joseph, Gadi, son of Susi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, son of Gemali. From the tribe of Asher, Sethur, son of Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi, son of Bopsi. From the tribe of Gad, Jewel, son of Maki. These are the names of the men Moses sent to explore the land. Moses gave Hoshea, son of Nun, the name Joshua. So dito po sa Numbers chapter 13, mahanap po natin yung unang introduction ni Caleb. Dito po kay Caleb, siya po ay kasama sa pinili na maging representative ng ancestral tribe. Number 1, Caleb was the son of Jephunneh. He first appeared in the scene when God commanded Moses to explore Canaan. Pangalawa, he came from the tribe of Judah. Galing po siya sa tribe ni Jesus. He represented them in the mission to spy over the land they were to inherit from God. no? Makikita po natin, ang Panginoon po natin, the Lion from the tribe of Judah. Ang Judah po, yan po ang tribe na pinagmulan ng Messiah. At si Judah po, yan po sa tribe of Judah is very, very colorful ang background ng mga tao from Judah, no? Jerusalem and Judah. Yan po ang naging division. Dumating ang panahon, yan po ang naging division. Pero si Caleb sa time na to, siya po ay representative ng tribe of Judah. Sumunod, Caleb was a leader among his tribe. He explored the land of Canaan with the other 11 men from their tribe. Lesson number 1. Caleb was one of the 12 spies of Israel who explored the promised land. So dito po may kita po natin, siya po ay isang leader, siya po ay representative ng kanyang tribe, at siya po ay galing sa tribe ng Judah. So number 2, Caleb was a man full of faith, wisdom, and courage. After returning from Canaan, yung pinag-uusapan po natin kahapon, no, at saka nung isang araw, after returning from Canaan, 10 out of the 12 spies gave a bad report about the land that brought fear and discouragement to the Israelites. Nung bumalik na po sila, yung mga kasamahan po nila ay nagkwento kung ano po yung natagpuan nila doon sa land na kanilang inexplore. By the way, ito pong land na kanilang inexplore ay isa pong lupain na meron na pong mga residente na dapat po nilang alisin. Sa Numbers chapter 13, sa verse 26 to 29, they came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and the whole assembly and showed them the fruit of the land. Verse 27. They gave Moses this account. We went into the land to which you sent us. It does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in the Negev. The Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites live in the hill country. And the Canaanites live near the sea along the Jordan. So verse 31, but the men who had gone up with him said, we can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are. Verse 32, and they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, the land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there were of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes and we look the same to them. So dito po, nagkalat po sila, yung iba pong mga kasamahan ni Caleb at ni Joshua, ng bad report tungkol po dun sa lupa na kanilang inexplore. And by the way, yung kanila pong inexplore na lupa ay ang future na ibibigay ng Diyos sa kanila na promised land. Ito po ay isang lupain na pinangako na po sa kanila. Hindi po ito isang lupain na ngayon pa lang nila sasakupin or ngayon pa lang nila narinig o ngayon pa lang nila natuklasan. Hindi po. Ito po ay isang lupain na sa tagal po ng kanilang mga ninuno magmula pa kay Abraham ay naririnig na po nila na ibibigay sa kanila ng Diyos at nandun na po sila sa bungad. Nagpadala po sila ng mga representative para po malaman kung anong uri ng lugar yung kanilang papasukin, sino ang mga nakatira doon at ano yung aasahan nila. At dito po sa chapter 14 verse 1, sabi po, That night, all the members of the community raised their voices and wept aloud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole assembly said to them, "If only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt?" And they said to each other, "We should choose a leader to go back to Egypt." Dahil po sa nireport ng mga spies, yung 10 bukod sa 2, na-discourage po yung mga tao. Sa tagal na po nilang naglalakad, 40 years, nasa bungad po sila ng bagong lupain na ipinangako na sa kanila ng Diyos. Yung pinadala pong representative, 10 sa 12, negative. Kung majority wins, talo na. No? Kung majority wins, talo na. Kasi nga, 10 sa 12, ang nangibabaw sa kanila, negative. Ang nakita nila, malaki yung mga tao, matitibay yung mga bahay. Nagmukha silang mga tipaklong. Yan ang mga kwento nila eh. Bagamat may dala silang mga pagkain na malalaki, no? Katulad po nung isang cluster ng grapes at saka ilang pomegranates, nung pinutol nila, ginamitan pa nila ng pingga. 2 tao pa may bit-bit. So mabigat na mabigat tong mga prutas na to, 2 tao eh. Isipin mo, single cluster. Talagang milk and honey. Kaya lang, ang kapalit no, katumbas nun, ayon sa mga nagpunta doon, ang babanggain natin, mga higante, mga malalaking tao, mga malalakas. No? At sinabi po nila na doon pa lamang, wala na pong laban ng mga Israelita. At dahil po dito na discourage po yung mga Israelita, na sinisi na nila si Moses, sinisi nila si Aaron, sinisi nila ang Diyos, at pinagmalaki nila mas maganda pa siguro sa Egypt. Samantalang sa Egypt, naalala nyo kung paano sila pinalabas? Pinaglaban sila ni Moses at sa Egypt, sila ay mga alipin. At sabi po dito, na mas mabuti pang pumili sila ng leader na magbabalik sa kanila sa Egypt. Sa halip na patuloy, gusto nila umatras, bumalik sa original na pinanggalingan nila kung saan sila ay inaalipin ng mga Egyptians. So ito po ang nangyari, no? Pero nagsalita po si Caleb. Caleb revealed his wisdom, faith, and courage when he reported what he saw. Nagsalita po si Caleb sa Numbers 13 verse 30. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." Kaya natin to. Finalo up po ni Joshua yung report sa Numbers 14, sa 6-9. Sabi po ni Joshua, "Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had explored the land, tore his clothes and said to the entire Israelite assembly," pakinggan niyo po ang sinabi ni Joshua, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into the land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." Pero alam niyo po ba, nag-ibabaw yung negative kasi sabi po sa verse 10, "But the whole assembly talked about stoning them." Isipin niyo, no? Ito po yung 4. 4 na lang po sila. Si Moses, si Aaron, si Joshua, si Caleb. Sila na lang yung naninindigan. Ika nga, yung buong Israelite community nagpadala na dun sa 10. Sabi ko nga po sa inyo, kung majority wins, wala na. Wala nang tutuloy. Kasi nga, 10 sa 12, negative. Pero nagsalita po itong 2 ito, no? At nung babatuhin po sila ng mga tao, nagpaplano po sila, then the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses, kausap niya si Moses, dinidescribe niya yung generation, how long will these people treat me with contempt? How long will they refuse to believe in me in spite of all the signs I have performed for them? No? I will strike them down with a plague and destroy them, but I will make you into a nation greater and stronger than they. Nagalit na ang Diyos, napikon na. Sabi ng Panginoon, lagi na lang ganito yung ugali ng mga generation na ito. Sa kabila ng lahat ng pinakita ng Diyos, ng mga himala, ganito pa rin. Nangingibabaw pa rin, ang nakikita pa rin yung negative. Ako po may mga kakilala po akong ganyan eh. Yung mga tao po na ito tatawag, Pastor, pag-pray nyo kami. Ang tindi ng pagsubok. Ang tindi nga ng pagsubok, magpipray nga talaga kami. Pagkatapos namin mag-pray, ilang araw makikita mo, nagtagumpay. Tuwan-tuwa naman ako, tuwan-tuwa din sila. Maya-mayang konti, pag may pagsubok, kung umiyak, akala mo walang Diyos. Sabi ko sa kanya, di ba katatapos mo lang ng pagsubok? O, so magpipray uli kami. Tapos tutugunan na naman ng Panginoon. Makakaraos na naman sila. Tapos magkakaroon na naman sila ng pagsubok. At yung pagsubok, excuse me dun pa rin sa aspetong yun. Ika nga, meron silang mga binubuno. Parang pag tumawag sila, alam mo na, predictable na yun kung saan may problema. Pag kinausap mo, para na namang walang Diyos. May mga ganyang tao po talaga eh. Hindi po nila nakikita yung pagtatawid sa kanila ng Panginoon. Hindi nila nakikita yung pag-iingat sa kanila ng Panginoon. Ang nakikita nila yung negative. Ako gusto ko sabihin na kung hindi iningatan ng Lord yung 12 spies, patay yun eh. Pero pinahintulutan ng Lord na makapasok sila without harm, makalabas sila without harm, may kasama pang evidence, yung pagkain. Without harm. Kasama yun sa pag-iingat ng Diyos sa kanila eh. Pero hindi po yun nakita ng mga tao. At hindi po yun na-recognize ng mga tao. Ang narinig nila, yung negative. Mas nangibabaw sa kanila, yung sinabi na negative nung 10. At alam niyo po ba ang sinabi ng Panginoon? I will strike them down with a plague and destroy them, but I will make you into a nation greater and stronger than they. Sinabi niya ganito, papalitan ko itong generation na to. At itong generation na to, pag pinalitan ko to, gagawa ko ng bagong generation na mas matibay kaysa sa kanila. Pero ito sinabi ni Moses, pakinggan niyo yung intercession ni Moses. Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear about it. By your power, you brought these people up from among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of this land about it. They have already heard that you, Lord, are with these people, and that you, Lord, have been seen face to face, that your cloud stays over them, and that you go before them in a pillar of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. If you put all these people to death, leaving none alive, the nations who have heard this report about you will say, the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land He promised them on oath. So He slaughtered them in the wilderness. Kita niyo yung sinabi ni Moses? Sabi niya, Lord, alam ko galit ka. Alam ko disappointed ka. No? Pero Lord, pag ginawa mo yon, maririnig ng mga Egyptians. Di ba ano ba yung reputasyon namin bilang mga Israelita? Sabi ng mga tao, ito yung lahi na naglalakad kasama ang Diyos. Bilang patunay, meron silang kasunod na ulap sa umaga at saka apoy sa gabi. At yung mga taong ito, hinahatid ng Panginoon dun sa lupain na nais niya. At nagpapakita ang Diyos sa kanila face to face. Ngayon, Panginoon, pag pinatay mo lahat ito at wala kang tinirang buhay, yung mga bansa sa paligid namin, ano na lang sasabihin? Ang iisipin nila, the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land He promised them on oath. Hindi ba nakaya ng Diyos ihatid itong mga taong ito sa lupain? Kaya, pinatay na lang niya sa wilderness. Yung pang sinabi ni Moses kay God. Kahapon po nag-aral po tayo tungkol kay Moses eh. Si Moses po, napakatigas ng ulo. Excuse me ha, patawarin niyo po ako, napakahina ng kukote. Kahit na anong paliwanag ng Panginoon, oy, lahat ng gagawin mo, planado ko na. Gagawin mo na lang. Kaya nga, ganun yung pagkakasabi sa kanya. Lahat ng detalye, covered ko na yan. Lahat ng tanong mo, sagot ko na yan. Lahat ng worries mo, eto na yung mga discarding gagawin mo. Alam na ng Diyos eh. Pero nakita natin kung paano ilang beses back and forth ginalit niya ang Diyos kasi ayaw niya. Pero dito may kita nyo, no, nung nandun na sila, ang Diyos naman ang nagsabi, ang tigas ng ulo naman ng generation na to. Ito ba yung generation na ipapasok ko sa promised land? Padadalan ko na lang ng plague. Uubusin ko na to. No? Mga ungrateful na mga tao, puro na lang murmuring ang ginagawa. Wala nang ginawa kundi lahat ng planning na galing sa akin. Galing sa Diyos yung mga plano na yan eh. Pag sinasabi kay Moses, nangingibabaw pa rin yung negative. Alam niyo po nangyari? Nung sinabi po ni Moses to, now may the Lord's strength be displayed just as you have declared. The Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love and forgiving sin and rebellion, yet He does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children for the sin of the parents to the third and the fourth generation. In accordance with your great love, forgive the sins of the people, just as you have pardoned them from the time they left Egypt until now. Nakakatuwa yung ganitong spiritual leader, no? Sabi niya, Lord, pasensya ka na. Sinasaktan ka na ng mga tao eh. At sa narinig namin sa iyo ngayong araw na to, talagang tumalab na yung angal nila. Pero Lord, katulad ng sinabi mo sa iyong salita, you are slow to anger, abounding in love, forgiving sin and rebellion. You do not let leave the guilty unpunished. You punish the children for the sin of the parents to the third and the fourth generation. Sabi ni Moses, ayon sa pag-ibig mo, according to your great love, forgive the sin of these people, just as you have pardoned them from the time they left Egypt until now. Nakakatuwa si Moses, nag-mature na, no? Nag-grow na, 40 years na kasi. Paulit-ulit na siyang humaharap sa tao, maharap sa Diyos. Humaharap sa tao, maharap sa Diyos. Si Moses po, dalawa po ang dalang tent eh. Yung tent ng family niya at saka yung tent of meeting. Siya po ang may responsibility na itayo yung tent of meeting kasi wala namang ibang laman yun kundi siya at saka ang Diyos eh. Tinatayo yun tuwing tumitigil sila. At nakikipag-usap siya sa Diyos face to face. Alam niyo, sabi ng Panginoon, I have forgiven them as you asked. Nevertheless, as surely as I live and as surely as the glory of the Lord fills the whole earth, not one of those who saw my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, but who disobeyed me and tested me 10 times. 10 beses na akong sinusubok ng mga yan. Not one of them will ever see the land I promised on oath to their ancestors. No one who has treated me with contempt will ever see. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. Binanggit si Caleb. Hindi binanggit si Moses. Binanggit si Caleb. Yung mga tao po nakasama ni na Caleb, yung Moses generation, ibang klase ang ugali. No? At sabi ng Panginoon, asahan nyo to. Magmula ngayon, walang sino man sa mga yan ang tutungtong sa lupa na pinangako ko sa mga ninuno nila. In other words, ganito. Ayaw mo kung ubusin sila sa plague. Ayaw mo kung lipulin sila. Sige. Iba gagawin kong approach. Palapit kayo ng palapit sa promised land, paubos sila ng paubos. Wala sa kanilang makakatungtong. Si Caleb lang. Yun ang sinabi ng Diyos. Dahil ito yung generation na hindi deserving. Dahil wala nang ginawa kundi subukin ang Panginoon. 10 times na. Tuloy po natin. Caleb was a servant leader with a different spirit. No? God was angry. Galit ang Diyos. Hindi to comfortable conversation. God is at the edge of His wrath. Isang pitik ng Diyos, isang henerasyon ng mauubos. Isang kilos ng Lord, one act of God will send a plague that will wipe out the Israelites that came out of Egypt. One act of God. God was angry. Moses made intercession. God relented from His anger. Sige, hindi ko gagawin yung sinabi ko, pero tutuloy ko pa rin. Gusto ko yung sinabi ng Lord eh. Nevertheless, as surely as I live, Diyos ang nangangako. Naku po, siguradong mangyayari to. As surely as I live, and as surely as the glory of the Lord fills the whole earth, not one of those who saw my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt, yung plagues yun, and in the wilderness, but who disobeyed me and tested me 10 times, not one of them will ever see the land I promised on oath to their ancestors. No one who has treated me with contempt will ever see it. Galit ang Diyos. Sabi niya, sige, hindi ko gagawing instant yung plague. O instant na in one moment, lahat ng Israelites galing Egypt, lilipulin ko, hindi. Pero ito ipinapangako ko sa inyo. Magmula ngayon, walang sino man na galing sa generation na yon makakatungtong sa promised land. Walang nakatungtong doon except Caleb. God gave a final word about the fate of the Israelites who came from Egypt. Sabi ng Lord, tinutuldukan ko na tong generation na to. Pero meron siyang ni-reserve. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. Si Caleb po, namumukod tangi, hindi si Moses. Hindi si Moses. Naalala nyo? Nung papasok na sila, kinausap ng Lord si Moses. Moses, naalala mo ba kung anong nangyari dun sa bato nung nauhaw yung mga tao? Anong inutos ko sa'yo? Sabi niya, kausapin po yung bato. Ano ginawa mo? Hinambalos ko po. Dahil doon, hindi ka makakatuntong, hindi ka kasali sa papasok sa promised land. Gusto mo sabihin, sabi ng Lord, tapos na ang assignment mo para sa akin. It's time for Joshua. But you, hanggang dito ka na lang. 40 years, Moses, the leader, hindi niya nakita. Hindi niya natapakan yung promised land, pero naihatid niya. Hindi siya kasali. Pero si Caleb, ipinangako ng Diyos, papapasukin niya. Sa Numbers 14 verse 6, nung hindi maintindihan ng mga tao na gustong-gusto na ng Lord, itawid na sila, at sila pa yung pinalalabas na ipapahamak nila yung mga tao, Caleb and Joshua tore their clothes at that time when the entire community was rebelling against God. Kaya lang tumigil. The glory of the Lord appeared. Sa Numbers 14 verse 38, may nangyari dun sa 10 spies na salbahe. Sabi po sa verse 38, verse 36 tayo, Numbers 14. So the men Moses had sent to explore the land, who returned and made the whole community grumble against him by spreading a bad report about it. These men who were responsible for spreading the bad report about the land were struck down and died of a plague before the Lord. Of the men who went to explore the land, only Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, survived. So dito, yung mga leaders po ng 10 ancestral tribes, ang Diyos po, hinatulan sila ng plague, patay po sila. The 10 spies perished while Caleb and Joshua was preserved. May kita po natin yung ways ng Panginoon. Pag gusto kanyang ingatan, iingatan kanya. Alam niyo ako, na sa pagbabasa ko ng lumang tipan, sa pagbabasa ko po ng mga giants of the faith, kung tawagin, mapapansin nyo, hindi sila madami lagi. Hindi sila yung pinakamadami. May mga pagkakataon na ganun, pero most of the time, sila yung outnumbered. Sila yung parang silent minority. Ika nga, hindi sila yung pinakamadaming, pinakamaingay. Sila yung pinakakonte, pero tama ang puso. Tama ang pananaw. Tama ang layunin. Tama ang iniisip. Kasundo ng Diyos, pero konti lang sila. At sila yung madalas na inaaway. Sila yung madalas na binabangga ng lahat. Kasi yung nakikita nila, iba sa nakikita ng karamihan. Pero ito pong makikita ninyo sa Bible, Ang Diyos po ang final word, hindi tao. Kahit na po sabihin pa nilang marami sila, marami kayo. Pero ang Diyos di nyo kakampi. Ito, dalawa lang sila, si Joshua at si Caleb, pero kasama nila ang Diyos. Kaya nakita nyo nangyari dun sa 10 spies na nagdala ng kaguluhan, they died. They died. Caleb was a servant leader with a different spirit. He was a part of the Moses generation, but he had a different spirit. Number 4, Caleb's best qualification was he followed God wholeheartedly. Sa Numbers 14:24, but because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, sabi ng Panginoon, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. Alam niyo pangako ng Lord kay Caleb? Sa verse 25, since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are living in the valleys, turn back tomorrow and set out towards the desert along the route to the Red Sea. Ginabayan na po sila kung ano na po yung next direction nila. Sa Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 35 to 36, I want to read this. Not a man of this evil generation shall see the good land I swore to give your forefathers except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He will see it, and I will give him and his descendants the land he set his feet on because he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. Nakita nyo? Ang katangian po ni Caleb, he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. God himself recognized what was inside Caleb's heart. Alam niyo ba magkaiba si Caleb at saka si Moses? Ako natutuwa ako sa kwento ni Moses eh. Kasi talagang yung calling niya kakaiba. He was the right man. Kasi ang i-confront, Egyptians eh. Eh siya, Egyptian educated, pero yung puso niya Hebrew. Tapos pinalaki siya ng nanay niya, bagamat nagsasalita siya at nag-aral siya sa mga Egyptian language and culture. So tamang-tama lang. Bagay na bagay si Moses dun sa calling niya. Eh dito si Caleb iba. Si Caleb po, nung time na nasa wilderness na sila, walang ibang ginawa ang Lord kundi tingnan ang puso ng mga tao. At sa isang buong henerasyon, may namumukod tangi na nangingibabaw. Si Lord mismo nagsabi, because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly. Ganda, no? Si Moses napikon pa sa Lord eh. Napikon siya sa mga tao, di ba? The humblest man on earth, napikon. Ganong katigas ulo ng generation niya. The humblest man on earth. Yung pinaka-humble, yung pinaka-pag kinausap mo, kala mo di makakabasag pinggan. The humblest man on earth, napikon, hinambalos yung bato. Hindi kinalimutan ng Diyos yun. Sa dami ng ginawa niya during the 40 years, nung tatawid na sila, ang tinanong lang ng Lord, naalala mo yung ginawa mo sa bato? Ano inutos ko sa iyo? Kausapin po. Ano ginawa mo? Hinambalos ko po. O, magmula ngayon, pinapaalala ko sa iyo, hindi ka papasok. Yun na po yung huling balita tungkol kay Moses. Pagkatapos noon, iba na. Alam niyo testimony ni Caleb. Sa aklat po ng Joshua, fast forward tayo. Sa aklat ng Joshua, nasa loob na sila ng promised land. Nagtestimony po si Caleb. Ito po ang sinabi niya kay Joshua. Si Joshua na po yung leader. Ito po ang kwento niya. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me to Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. Yung nangyari sa Numbers 13, 40 years old pa lang si Caleb nun. And I brought him back a report according to my convictions. But my brothers who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt with fear. Yung mga kasama ko, walang ginawa kundi pagbalik, takutin yung mga tao. I, however, followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. Nakikita niyo yung personal resolve sa buhay ni Caleb? Nakaset si Caleb na sa obedience niya kay God, he will follow the Lord wholeheartedly. Ito, testimony niya to. I, however, followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day, Moses swore to me, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance, and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So ano pong katangian ni Caleb na buong buhay niya, inalagaan niya? Alam niyo po kung ano? He had a heart that followed God wholeheartedly. Gusto ko sabihin, that is the greatest commandment, to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your mind, and with all of your strength. He followed God wholeheartedly. At tuwang-tuwang-tuwa ang Diyos kay Caleb. Tuloy po natin. What is wholehearted devotion? Ano po ba yun? Sabi po ng Ephesians chapter 6 verse 5 to 8. Slave, obey your masters with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. By the way, sa Ephesians po, ang ginagamit na salita, slaves. Pero kung modern day, sasabihin natin worker. Tapos yung master, employer. Ganun lang po ito. No? Employer and worker relationship po ito. Ang tawag po nila slave. Hindi po ito katulad ng nasa isip nating alipin. Hindi po. Workers po ito. Slave, obey your masters or your employers with respect and fear. Yung mga boss ninyo. And with sincerity in heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but like slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly as you were serving the Lord, not men. Because you know the Lord will reward everyone for whatever good he does, whether he is slave or free. Dito po mababasa po natin kung ano po ang ibig sabihin ng serving wholeheartedly. Ito po ay isang uri ng paglilingkod na nakafocus kay Christ. Ito po ay isang pagsunod na mula sa inyong puso, bukal sa inyong puso, katulad ng pagsunod ninyo sa Panginoon. Ito po ay pagturing na ang inyong ginagawa, hindi nyo ginagawa para sa mga itinalaga sa inyong mga employer or mga boss, kundi nagtatrabaho kayo para sa Panginoon. At sa Diyos rin kayo umaasa ng reward. Because you know the Lord will reward everyone for whatever He does. Sa Diyos kayo nakatingin. So number 1, ito po ay obeying with respect, fear, and sincerity of heart. Ito po ay isang uri ng pagsunod na punong-puno ng galang, ng fear. Pag sinabing fear, ito po ay isang healthy na na pagpapasakop, walang desire na magrebelde, and sincerity of heart. Ito po ay isang paglilingkod na bukal sa kanyang kalooban. Number 2, you obey without showmanship. Sabi rito, obey them not only to win their favor when their eye is on you, but like slaves to Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. This is obeying without showmanship. Hindi mo to ginagawa dahil gusto mo lang nakikita ka, but you are doing God's will from the heart. Number 3, serve wholeheartedly as you were serving the Lord, not men. Paano nangyayari to? Kapag tinuring mo na yung panahon na to, na under ka ng leader na to, is God's will para sa buhay mo. Kalooban ng Diyos. Tingnan natin yung testimony uli ni Caleb. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. Alam niyang lingkod ng Diyos yung kanyang leader. At yung leader na yon, inutusan siya. Kaya sinunod niya. Ito po yung serving wholeheartedly as you were serving the Lord, not men. Kinikilala mo, ito ang binigay sa akin ng Lord na leader. Ito ang binigay sa akin ng Lord na pastor. Ito ang binigay sa akin ng Lord na bishop. Ito ang binigay sa akin ng Lord na mentor. Kung ikaw man ay bahagi ng simbahan o kung trabaho, ito ang binigay sa akin ng Lord na kumpanya. At siya ang binigay sa akin ni Lord na boss. Siya ang binigay sa akin ni Lord na maging supervisor. O kaya siya ang binigay sa akin na foreman. Siya ang binigay sa akin na under ako ng kanyang departamento. Siya ang department head ko. Kapag tinuturing mo na yung ginagawa mo ay kalooban ng Panginoon, bilang manggagawa, you are serving wholeheartedly as you were serving the Lord, not men. Kahit si David Si David, kakaiba. Kasi kay David, siya talaga binigay sa akin na hari. Si David, iba yung training nun, iba calling nun. Kasi si David po, tinrain siya ni God under a mad king. A mad king. Walang ganun na ibang hari ng Israel because David was extraordinarily blessed. He had to have the experience of being under a mad king. But he was serving God wholeheartedly. And he was as if he was serving the Lord, not men. Wholehearted devotion, having a knowledge that God sees our work and He rewards us. Ito po yung pag-unawa na kapag ikaw nagpapasakop sa kalooban ng Panginoon, sino man yung makatrabaho mo, balang araw, ang Diyos ang magbibigay sa iyo ng gantimpala. Because you know the Lord will reward everyone for whatever good He does. Ito po yung wholehearted devotion at ganito po ang timpla ng puso ni Caleb. Kaya kahit kailan hindi siya nagpasikat, hindi siya nagmalaki, hindi siya kailanman sumuway, hindi niya tinuring na mali dahil alam niya na yung kanyang pinaglilingkuran na leader, si Moses, ay lingkod ng Diyos. Di ba binasa natin sa Numbers 13, the Lord said to Moses, the mission came from God. Servant rin lang si Moses at servant lang siya ni Moses. Ganun niya tinuring yung kanyang assignment. Wholehearted devotion. Number 5, 7 lessons. Number 5, Caleb was to inherit the land he stepped on. Caleb asked from Joshua the land Moses promised him to inherit. Basahin natin. Sa Joshua chapter 14, nag-request yung pinakamatandang warrior sa buong Joshua generation. Tandaan nyo, sa book of Joshua, si Caleb na lang ang natitira sa mga natira sa kanilang generation. He was the last fighting warrior. He was the last grandfather. He was the last patriarch. Wala na siyang ka-generation. And he was submitting to the God-appointed younger leader named Joshua. Sabi po dito, sa Joshua chapter 14, sa verse 9. So on that day, Moses swore to me, sabi niya, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. Now listen, I believe that the spies who went to Canaan, those who were sent to Canaan for 40 days did not go together, or else the 12 of them would easily be identified as foreigners spying the land. I believe they were separated from one another to spread out in smaller numbers, perhaps 2 by 2, and I believe Caleb's companion was Joshua. The only reason why they were able to get all the intelligence report, the intel na kailangan ni Moses before he brings the people inside the promised land was because the 12 spies entered into the promised land, the land of Canaan, in smaller groups. At ang magkasama si Caleb at saka si Joshua. Sa Numbers 13 verse 21, pakinggan natin. So they went up and explored the land from the desert of Zin as far as Rehob towards Lebo Hamath. They went up to Hebron where Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, lived. Hebron had been built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole. So by twos talaga to between them. So perhaps this was a six teams composed of 2 members along with some of the pomegranates and figs. The place was called the Valley of Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes the Israelites cut off there. At the end of 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. It is possible na nung pumasok po sila sa Canaan, they were divided into groups, smaller groups. Perhaps 6 na grupo, tigda-2, at nagkataon magkasama si Joshua at saka si Caleb. Verse 30, Numbers. Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. Sabi ni Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who explored the land. Magkasama sila eh. They tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite assembly, the land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into the land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord. Do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will swallow them up. Their protection is God, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. Ibang-iba yung report ni Caleb at saka ni Joshua kaysa sa ibang spies. Again, dito po, Caleb was to inherit the land he stepped on. Sabi ng Panginoon, ibibigay ko sa iyo yung lupa na tutungtungan mo. At sinabi po niya rito sa Joshua chapter 14, verse 6, no? Hanggang sa verse 15. Now then, just as the Lord promised, sabi sa verse 10, He has kept me alive for 45 years since the time He said this to Moses. So ilang taon na? 40 plus 45. 85 years old na si Caleb. While Israel moved about in the wilderness, so here I am today. Andun na si Caleb. Nandun na siya sa lupa na kanyang tinuntungan. So here I am today. Sabi niya, 85 years old. Verse 11, Joshua 14, I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go to battle now as I was then. Kung akala nyo noon kung gaano ko kasigasig makipagbuno para lang mapatunayan at magawa yung pakikibaka, ganun pa din ako ngayon. Sabi ni Caleb, now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as He said. Listen, meron akong gustong i-point out. Nung may spy na nagkwento sa mga tao na yung pinuntahan nilang lugar, the people there were big and their cities were fortified. Tinandaan ni Caleb yun. Tinandaan niya yung lugar na kinatakutan ng 10. Ano nanakot sa mga Israelita? Alam niyo kung ano? Yung lugar na nandoon yung mga lahi ni Anak. Yung lugar na kung saan nandun yung sinasabing malalaking tao. Kung saan malalaki yung mga tinitirhan nila, mga 45. Tinandaan yun ni Caleb. Moses wanted personal first-hand information about Canaan. He ordered the spies to supply him with answers and evidence, and the mission is found in Numbers 13. Now, in Numbers 13, 22 to 23, they went up to Hebron, where Ahiman, Seshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, lived. Nung binanggit na to, habang nagre-report, nakikinig yung mga Israelita, nandun si Moses, nandun si Caleb, nandun si Joshua. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch, bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole. Alam po natin yung kwento na yon. Pero tinandaan po ni Caleb, they went to Hebron where Ahiman, Seshai, Talmai, the descendants of Anak, lived. Sabi po sa Joshua chapter 14 verse 7, I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. At sabi po rito, and I brought him back a report according to my convictions. At ano yung conviction niya? Kaya natin yun. Kaya natin yun. Nakita ko rin yun eh. Nanggaling din ako doon. Kaya natin yun. Yun ang nasa puso ni Caleb nung nagsalita siya. Ano sinabi niya? Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. Now listen to a warrior. Listen to a warrior today. Sabi ng warrior na to, kaya natin yan. But the 10 spies who spoke negatively could not see it. Si Joshua, ang concern niya yung relationship ng Israel sa Diyos eh. Do not rebel against God. His favor is on us. Their protection is God. But God is with us. Si Joshua, ang concern niya, yung relationship, ma-preserve yung relationship ng Israel sa Diyos. Si Caleb, iba nasa puso. We can do it. Alin, yung mga yun? Yung mga yun ba ang tinuturo nyo? Alin yung lugar na yun? Yung ba ang tinutukoy nila na fortified and the people there are big people and we look like, yung ba yun, yung lugar na yun? Tinandaan ni Caleb yun. Tinandaan nyo ni Caleb. Kaya dito makikita po natin sa Joshua chapter 14. Nag-request si Caleb. Sabi niya, I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Verse 12. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourselves heard then that the Anakites were there. Yun yung tawag niya sa mga anak ni Anak. Yung mga lahi ni Anak, the Anakites. Sabi niya, di ba doon nakatira yung mga yon? Sabi niya, they were there, the cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as He said. Alam mo sabi ni Caleb, Joshua, lahat ng tinuntungan natin naging atin. Nasa chapter 14 na sila. Sabi niya, natatandaan mo ba yung lugar na nandun yung mga higante na ang lalaki ng mga bahay? Sabi ng mga kasama natin. Sabi niya, naalala mo sinabi ng Diyos? Nandun ka nun. Sa harapan ni Moses, ibibigay ko kay Caleb. At sa kanyang salinlahi, dahil siya ay may different spirit and serve Him wholeheartedly. Nandun ka nun. Nangako ang Diyos na ibibigay sa akin. Now, 40 years old ako. Nagkikwento siya kay Joshua eh. 85 years old na siya. 40 years old ako nung kinausap tayo. Nung pinili tayo ni Moses. At mula dun sa Kadesh Barnea, pumasok tayo ng Kanaan. At binigay ko talaga yung report dun kay Moses. Pero naalala mo, binless ako ni Moses. Joshua, nandito na tayo. Pwede ba akong makiusap sa'yo? Ako pupunta doon sa mga Anakites. Tatapusin ko yung sinabi ko nung araw yon. A warrior. Ang ganda ng memory ni Caleb. Ang ganda ng commitment niya. Kasi hindi siya naliligaw. Iniingatan niya yung vision ng Panginoon sa buhay niya. Iniingatan niya yung direction ng Diyos na ina-affirm sa kanya nung binigay ng Lord na leader sa kanya si Moses. Pinapaalala niya dun sa kasing dedicated niya na leader niya ngayon kay Joshua. Yung pangako na yung lupain na tinuntungan niya, magiging kanya. Sabi niya kay Joshua, Joshua, now is the time. Pupunta ako dun sa lugar ng mga descendants ni Anak, yung mga Anakites. Kung saan nandun si Ahiman, Sheshai, Talmai, yung mga descendants ni Anak doon, pati yung mga Nephilim. It's my turn. Alam mo, sabi sa verse 13, sa Joshua 14, then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. Tuloy natin. Caleb was the last man to finish the mission given by Moses. 45 years had passed. The fire of God was burning in Caleb's heart all these years. Caleb remembered well the mission ordered by Moses. Caleb never forgot the giants and their fortified cities that made the Israelites afraid to enter the promised land. Caleb never forgot his brothers who made the hearts of the people melt in fear. Caleb never forgot what he and Joshua saw from the land they explored. He knew his mission was not over yet. Meron siyang unfinished business. Yung mga Anakites. Caleb knew that there was a reason why he was kept alive. He was now 85 years old, but he said, I am as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Caleb was talking to the present leader of the Israelites, his fellow spy, Joshua, son of Nun, and he was asking permission to fight for one last time. He asked to take his inheritance, but he was going to get it through fighting giants. Caleb was about to enter the final battle of his life. He would take the city of Hebron. He would take down the giants occupying the land of his inheritance. Alam ni God kung sino pat ng kaaway. And to be able to win against these people, you need a warrior with a different spirit. A warrior who follows God wholeheartedly. And Caleb was alive. Gusto niya sabihin, kung nandito lang si Moses, ang sasabihin ko lang, Moses, tutuldukan ko yung mission. Yung huling lugar na gusto mong para sa atin. It's my turn to fight. Ako ang pupunta sa mga Anakites and I will take that place, the city of Hebron. Kaya ginawa yun ni Caleb. Joshua 15:13-14. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion in Judah, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the forefather of Anak. From Hebron, pakinggan nyo, Caleb drove out 3 Anakites, Seshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak. Tinapos ni Caleb yung mission na sinimulan sa Numbers 13. 45 years later. Joshua chapter 21 verse 12. Verse 11 and verse 12. They gave them the descendants of Aaron from the Kohathite clans of Levites, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture land in the hill country of Judah. Arba was the forefather of Anak, but the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. Alam nyo kung saan ano yung special na nangyari dun sa lugar na yon, na kinuha ni Caleb yung lugar ng mga Anakites, na kung tawagin Kiriath Arba. Yung Arba po, yung po ang ninuno ni Anak. Nung natanggal na niya yung grupo ng Seshai, Ahiman at Talmai, Doon niya nilagay yung mga lingkod ng Diyos. They gave them the descendants of Aaron, yung mga priest, and the Kohathite clan of Levites. Yung mga priest and Levites, itinalaga nila dun sa lupa sa Hebron. Lahat ng mga lahi ng mga Israelita, habang nananalo sila, binibigyan nila ng lupa. Pero yung mga naglilingkod sa temple, wala pang binibigay. Etong galing sa lahi, sa tribe ni Judah. Sabi ko sa inyo, ito ang tribe ni Jesus. Ito yung tribe ng mga lingkod ng Diyos. Si Caleb, nung nakuha niya yung lupa niya, sabi niya, dito nyo patirahin lahat ng mga naglilingkod sa templo. Lahat ng descendants ni Aaron, the Aaronic priests, from the Kohathite clan of Levites. Dito sila. Ganun ka-special yung lugar na yon na pinili at tinapos ni Caleb. Number 7. Last lesson, Caleb fought battles of life for God and with God. Buong buhay niya, wala siyang ginawa. He was a warrior. He was known to be a warrior. He was a faithful one. He stood before his leader, and he stood before the Lord, and he stood above his generation. Joshua 14 verse 12. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. Sabi niya, Joshua, payagan mo lang ako dahil pinangako na sa akin to ng Diyos. You yourself heard that the Anakites were there and their cities were large and fortified. The Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as He said. Alam mo, sabi ni Caleb, gagawin ko yung pinangako ng Diyos. Na kailangan tanggalin sila doon. Tutulungan ako ng Panginoon. Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, ever since because he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. Galing ano? Galing ni Caleb. Ganda ng calling, ganda ng assignment, ganda ng buhay. Hebron used to be called Kiryat Arba after Arba, who was the greatest man among the Anakites. At sabi po doon, the land had rest from war. Tapos na lahat ng conquer. Magmula nun, development na tayo. Bakit? Tapos na lahat ng war. The last fortress, the last territory, the last group that was occupying the promised land. Here comes the last warrior, the last of the patriarchs, the last who has seen Moses and has heard the promise of God, the last. He was going to end the promise and fulfill it. Si Caleb. Hindi si Moses ang pinapasok ng Lord, si Caleb. Iba kasi si Caleb. In closing, Caleb outlived the entire Moses generation. Siya yung pinakamatanda, pinakatumagal sa buong henerasyon. He was the last Nakita ka na ng isang henerasyon, isa lang ang lolo. Si Caleb lang. He entered the promised land with the Joshua generation. He finished his mission from God. He drove out the last giants and took their city. He got his inheritance, the city of Hebron. Ito po ang story ni Caleb, the last patriarch of the Moses generation, the last warrior of the Moses generation. Let us pray. Lord, maraming salamat. Thank you, God, for inspiring us, Lord, to see, oh God, these mighty men that you have used. Lord, delay is not denial. There may be a time of waiting, God. There will be a time, Lord, wherein your promises, O God, are yet to be fulfilled. Make us like a Caleb, O God, who will always remain, O Lord, with a heart that is fully surrendered to you, a wholehearted devotion towards you. I pray, O God, today, Lord, that may you use this message to bless people. Thank you, Lord, for the life of Caleb. Lord, may you raise up leaders in the time of transition. And Lord, give us extraordinary leadership so that we will be able to do your will till the end. Maraming salamat, Panginoon. We give you all the glory, the honor, and the praises. In Jesus' powerful name. Amen and amen. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating nakasama today. And before I end, gusto ko lang pong sabihin na ang mga videos po natin ay matatagpuan po sa Leo Duites videos dito po sa YouTube. At kung meron po kayong nais na isulat or gusto nyo pong mag-message, isend nyo lang po sa duites_leo@yahoo.com or sa Messenger. At sa mga tao po na hinihipo po ni God na i-bless ang ministry po ng Daily Discipleship, ito po yung mga numbers na pwede nyo pong ipadala. Pwede po kayong magpadala through GCash and Paymaya at pwede rin po through the bank sa BDO. So maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating kasama. Tomorrow we talk about the Joshua generation. Pag-usapan po natin a new generation. Maraming salamat po. God bless everybody.